Today we have the all-new 2025 Nissan Kicks. In this video, I'll talk about what the new Kicks is, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it. Now, it's no secret that Nissan hasn't been doing too hot the past couple of years, but the brand has been working hard on revamping their lineup, and the new Kicks, alongside the new Armada and the new Murano, is a hope for the brand. So, what is the new Kicks? 2025 marks the second generation of Nissan's subcompact SUV, and it has been completely redesigned inside and out, and I must admit, for a small SUV, it looks really good. The new Kicks has grown in size, it's wider, longer and taller, it received new powertrain and updated technology. Pricing starts for around $22,000 for the base front-wheel drive S model and tops at around $30,000 for the SR all-wheel drive that we're testing today. All models are powered by a 2-liter, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that delivers 141 horsepower and 140 pound-feet of torque. You can get the Kicks either with front-wheel drive or, for the first time, with all-wheel drive, but the transmission remained unchanged, meaning the infamous CVT is your only option. The car sits on Nissan's V platform, shared with the cars like the Versa, and features strut front suspension. Front-wheel drive models get a torsion beam in the back, while all-wheel drives get a multilink. But before we talk what it's like to drive the new Kicks, let's look inside and talk about the interior space. Alrighty, inside the new Nissan Kicks. Now, at first glance, the cabin makes a good impression with its modern and clean design. There is a good combination of different materials that neither look or feel cheap, and while the overall quality may not be at the level of a Mazda CX-30, I've seen worse in the segment. We still get physical controls for all the core functions, a real physical shifter, but I do wish the HVAC panel had actual buttons, not capacitive controls. On the other hand, that's still better than having everything buried in an infotainment system. Speaking of, Kicks received the newest iteration of Nissan's infotainment, and it's alright. It's not the quickest to respond and could use a better graphical interface, but the menu layout is logical, and what matters to most people, it supports wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Higher trims give you a customizable digital gauge cluster, which is okay, displays all the information you need, such as the trip computer or the driving assistance information, but it would be nice to have an option to project the map from your phone since there's no built-in navigation system. Now, the storage across the cabin is fine, the center console is practical, the door pockets can fit larger drinks, and the trunk offers 30 cubic feet of space in front-wheel drive variants, 24 in all-wheel drive since you lose some of that space due to the multilink suspension and rear differential. It's nothing astonishing, but we have to keep in mind that this is a subcompact crossover. The front seats are okay. They're manually operated, and I wish we had an angle adjustability for the lower portion of the seat and lumbar support. Also, the dead pedal is at a weird angle if we're talking about the driving position, but being in this thing for a couple of hours didn't cause me any back pain, and overall comfort is fine. The back seat is pretty average with good headroom, but not so generous legroom. No surprise here, but what's surprising are two USB-C charging ports mounted in the middle. Well, that was the cabin of the new Nissan Kicks, so let's take it on the road now and see how it drives. I'm very excited about this CVT front-wheel drive crossover. Okay, driving the new Kicks. Now, the days of cheap subcompact SUVs are over. Manufacturers put a lot of their R&D budget into them because that's what clients buy. I mean, the sales are almost as good as your compact sedans, so clearly that's what the market wants, and clearly that's what manufacturers will focus on. So the new Kicks is a great example of that. First of all, let's see how this thing does on our favorite back road. We have it in standard mode, drive mode selector is in the center console, put it into sport, and let's hear that beautiful 2-liter 141 horsepower 4-cylinder. Yeah, it sounds just as bad as the 4-cylinder in the Chevy Traverse that we tested a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you thought Toyota made bad sounding 4-cylinders? Well, I think Nissan can take a first place in that category because the way this 4-cylinder sounds is atrocious. It sounds like you have a bucket of loose screws in your trunk, so maybe let's not do that. Let's put it into standard mode and talk about what it's like to drive this thing on a daily basis. it's a really positive surprise. I mean, as I said, Nissan is in trouble, and the Kicks is one of the cars that is a hope for the brand, and they really put a lot of effort into this, and you can tell the ride quality is pretty refined. Granted, we have the SR model, which means we get 19-inch rims. They take some of that comfort away from you, but generally speaking, I'm really happy how the Kicks react to any road imperfections. There isn't any unnecessary vibration coming inside, and the cabin is in general well isolated. I mean, you can take this thing on a highway to 75, 80 miles an hour, and it will be stable, it will be quiet. So overall, I'm really happy with how Nissan designed this thing in terms of like daily usability. Now, obviously, you know, it's not a sports car. It handles okay. The body control is good, but we have a CVT. Granted, it reacts pretty fast, which is good, but it doesn't do the best job simulating gears. It's just a CVT. You know, what do you expect? I mean, we're talking about a subcompact CUV that's priced below $30,000. The development budget went into things like the interior. I mean, we're in a very nice space. The seats are comfortable. The driving position, like I said, is a little weird, but you know what? I can live with that. It's a matter of getting used to. The trunk also is pretty okay. We get all the safety systems that we need: front and rear parking sensors, 360-degree camera, propelled assist, which is not a semi-autonomous driving system. It's just a system that has adaptive cruise control and lane centering, meaning every 10 seconds it will remind you to put your hands back on the steering wheel. Overall, the new Kicks is a good surprise. I'm really happy with what Nissan did with it. I hope they get saved because there is a group of enthusiasts behind this brand that really make good products if they're allowed to do so. And you know, you can't have crazy expectations from a $30,000 CUV, but I really like what they did with this thing, and I'm really excited to see what the future brings. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about the new Nissan Kicks, so let's jump into the final thoughts and summarize this thing. Okay, summing up the new Nissan Kicks. As I said in the driving impressions, the segment of subcompact SUVs is not what it used to be a few years ago, and the new Kicks is a prime example of that. Considering the fact that this is one of the entry-level propositions in the segment, it gives you a lot of bang for your buck. So, what is good here? The cabin is definitely a highlight. We get comfortable seats, good quality materials, and all the tech features that we expect from a new vehicle in 2025. The ride comfort and overall handling characteristics are also a positive surprise, and I didn't expect to like the Kicks as much as I do. Now, the only thing or area that requires improvement is that powertrain. That 4-cylinder combined with a CVT isn't the best combination, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would like to see the 3-cylinder from the Rogue in the new Kicks. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about this thing, drop a comment and I'll answer them. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all later.